Professor Doug, you said you would tell me more about something you called logical fallacies.
Yes, indeed. You remember how we talked about the difference between formal and informal reasoning?
I do. You told me that formal reasoning was deductive while informal reasoning was inductive. If I applied deductive reasoning correctly, true premises guaranteed me a true conclusion, but I am not sure why.
That is because formal reasoning is all about the pattern or organization of the ideas we work with. Because we concentrate on the pattern instead of the content of these ideas, we typically work with letters or other symbols instead of the actual words. The main types of deductive logic you study in school will either be what we call syllogisms dating back to ancient Greeks or the propositional logic developed at the turn of the 20th century. Formal fallacies are mistakes we make in working with these patterns.
Would you give me some examples?
Yes. If I say all fruits are nutritious and apples are fruit, what would follow?
That's easy. Apples are nutritious.
Correct. It would be a contradiction to classify apples as fruit and then say they are not nutritious. Now what if I said all Republicans are conservative and then that the senators from Idaho are conservative?
I guess it would follow they must be Republicans.
Sorry, this is incorrect. You see, it may well be true in itself, but there is still the possibility that we have conservative senators who are Democrats or independents. That is why this second pattern is an example of a mistake or fallacy. We even have a name for it, but I will not go into that now.
Oh, maybe formal logic is not that easy after all. I would have to learn more about how to test to see if we are using the right pattern.
Exactly. Now that was an example of a formal fallacy. With informal fallacies we look at things differently. Since here we are working with facts of one sort or another, we need to know that the information we start with is actually relevant to what we intend to prove and also that it sufficiently rules out alternate interpretations.
Again, may I have some examples?
Yes. One of the most common informal fallacies occurs when we say that something must be a good product because a famous celebrity has endorsed it. Another is to say I must be right because you cannot prove me wrong. Actually, we could list about a dozen or so types of things that might be mistakes in our reasoning. What is tricky, of course, is that the line between something acceptable and something fallacious may not always be that clear. As a result, students often get carried away and see everything as a fallacy.
So again, I would need to take a lot more time to get a feeling for when something works and when it doesn't.
I am afraid so. A quick rule for both formal and informal reasoning is to think in terms of counterexamples. See if you can tell a story with the same information in the premises but add something more so that we have an opposite conclusion. That is what I did in talking about Republicans and conservatives. If it even makes sense, you know that you do not have a good deductive pattern. If it makes sense but would be highly unlikely, then you might still have a case that is what we call inductively strong.
So just because an argument fails the test for deductive reasoning does not mean it is a bad case?
Yes. A deductive argument might be valid, meaning that the pattern is okay if it is valid and the premises are true. We call it a sound argument. An inductive argument by definition is never valid, but it can be either strong or weak. If it is strong and again the premises are true, we call it cogent. But that should be enough for now.